Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will call this regular City Council meeting of the Sebastian City Council to order. If you would all rise for a moment of silence and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, which this evening will be led by Councilmember Dodd. Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor Hill.
Here.
Vice Mayor Jones.
Here.
Councilmember Dodd. Councilmember McPartlin.
Here.
And Councilmember Nunn.
Here.
Sorry.
All right, thank you all for being here.
Bad timing.
Council, under item 6A, there will be a presentation by the Florida League of Cities President Jolene Caraballo and Ambassador Aaron Russell presenting me an award, and then they will immediately be following.
Can we do the agenda modifications first?
I did pass right by that, yes, sir.
It's okay.
I just want to get this over.
I'd like to.
Are there any modifications to the agenda this evening?
I'd like to put the declaration of local emergency in between item numbers 8 and 9. That would be prior to public input and after we adjourn the Community Redevelopment Agency.
All right, very good. Is there any objection? Anything else on agenda modifications? All right, so now at this time, we will meet Ms. Jolene down at the lectern, and then you'll go immediately following, and then I'll stay down there for the proclamations as well. So.
Aaron, did you want to face them or do you want to face outwards?
You need your script or you got it memorized?
It'll be okay. Figure it out.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, and citizens. My name is Erin Russell. I'm the ambassador from the Florida League of Cities located in Tallahassee, Florida. And I'm also joined by the president of the Florida League of Cities, who is the vice mayor of Port St. Lucie, Jolene Caraballo. It's a special evening to have our president with us because we have not one, but two special awards to present this evening. And just for the audience members who may be unfamiliar with the Florida League of Cities, the League has served as the united voice for Florida's 411 cities, towns, and villages since 1922. And our goal is to meet the needs of our cities through advocacy, through training and education, through insurance and financial services, and always standing up for the governments closest to the people, governments like the city of Sebastian. And so I just want to take a moment to say thank you to the city for being an active and dedicated member of the Florida League of Cities. And I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge Councilmember Ed Dodd, who serves on the board of directors for the Florida League of Cities. So thank you on behalf of our association and our membership. But as I mentioned, I'm here for two special awards this evening. And the first one is to recognize Mayor Jim Hill with the John Land Years of Service Award for his 20 years of service to the city of Sebastian. And I'm going to say that again because it's a big number. Mayor Hill has served the city of Sebastian for 20 years. And the John Land Years of Service Award that I'm here to present you with this evening was named after Mayor John Land, who served the city of Apopka for more than 60 years. And this award recognizes our elected municipal officials, like Mayor Hill, for their extensive, dedicated years of service. And 20 years of service is a big deal because Mayor Hill has had his own life, his own career, his own family outside of this municipal role, but yet you've spent not one, not two, not three, but 20 years representing the citizens of the city and making it into the great city that it is here today. So on behalf of the Florida League of Cities, I want to say congratulations and thank you for your municipal service. Where do we stay at?
Thank you very much, Mayor, for your service.
one quick little thing.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you guys so much. I very much appreciate this award. It's wonderful. It just goes to show the support that I've gotten from the community over the years. It's not about me. It never has been. And so all of the support I've gotten from the community has just been unbelievable over the last couple of decades, and I very much appreciate all of that. I have a couple of small little tokens of our appreciation, just some little pins for you guys. Thank you so much. And I will say, as I was saying earlier today, that the city's investment in the League of Cities is one that is a good investment. Our investment through our membership and other routes has proven just as a blessing for this community, and it's done great things for our community throughout the decades that I've been involved. Ed Dodd is a great champion for the city of Sebastian, and he serves on the board of directors, which is an amazing thing for us. He can bring the light of Sebastian throughout the entire state of Florida, so I'm proud of him for doing that. I'm proud of the award that you guys have given me this evening. Thank you so much, and thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Part two. So as I mentioned, we have not one but two awards to give out this evening. And so we are also here to recognize Councilmember Ed Dodd as a recipient of the 2022 Home Rule Hero Award for his efforts during this past legislative session. And the Home Rule Hero Award is given to local government officials, both elected and non-elective, for those who consistently answered the League's call to reach out to members of the state legislature and to give the local government perspective to our state officials. And Home Rule Hero Awards went above and beyond to share their perspective at the state level, as I mentioned, to protect home rule authority that has been given to Florida cities, and to always honor local voices making local choices. And home rule is the League's mission, local voices making local choices. Councilmember Ed Dodd not only represented your voice at the state level, but he represented all 411 cities, towns, and villages by going to the state and advocating for home rule. So, again, on behalf of the Florida League of Cities, it's my honor to present you with the 2022 Home Rule Hero Award for being a champion in the defense and protection of municipal home rule. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll come around.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for your hard work.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
And we're going to make you work even harder.
Okay, now I just want everybody to know home rule is not home run, okay? And I know those terms are very confusing, but what she mentioned earlier is local choices with local voices, or the opposite of that is the key to this. And the Florida League of Cities mission is very much to represent local government and make sure we can continue to represent our citizens without someone someplace else telling us what we can do. And that's the big key, is making sure someone someplace else doesn't tell us what we can do. So I appreciate this award, and it's my honor to work with the Florida League of Cities on this. So thank you. Thank you.
Good job. Good job.
You want that?
Yeah.
So when I walked in, Erin's like, do you want to do this? And I'm like, no, because Erin came, let me just make sure I give her a big shout out. She came all the way from Tallahassee, which is a far, far away to actually give an award. I'm in Port St. Lucie. I came about an hour away. So you did a wonderful job, Erin. Thank you so much for coming all this way to recognize these two great officials. And there's a perfect example. How long was your drive here? About 5 hours. How many of you in the room want to drive 5 hours to tell your legislator that you need something? That you need your city, and your city needs something. You want to drive to Tallahassee? Okay, so you're the 1% of the room. God bless you. But here's the truth. None of us, and a lot of us, do not have the opportunity to drive to Tallahassee. And that's what local control is about. It is to give you the ability to call any of these elected officials at any point in time and let them know what you need in your community. And when your state government continues to preempt the ability of local government to do that for you, then we can't do the job that you need us to do. So it's not just them that need to be fighting for home rule. I ask every one of you, your citizens, to band together and ensure that you protect your own home rule so we can answer the call for you here. And you don't have to make that 5-hour drive in Tallahassee, which, trust me, I do several times a year, and she just did it, and it is not a fun drive. I-10 and I-75 are not fun. But thank you again for your support in these elected officials. You have excellent, excellent representation. You should be proud, and God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks again. I appreciate you so much.
Yes, sir.
And that's why she's the president of the League of Cities. I have a couple of proclamations I'll do this evening. One for Mr. Hamilton. James Hamilton. How you doing, James? Very good. This is a proclamation for International Make a Difference Day, October 22nd, 2022. Whereas we, the American people, have a tradition of serving our community to make a difference in the lives of others and to be a positive influencer. And whereas for many years, millions of individuals have touched and enhanced the lives of millions in honor of that annual Make a Difference Day by giving where and when there was a need. And whereas Florida Society Children of the American Revolution State President James Hamilton has created the Come and Recognize Everyone Serving CARES program to recognize those serving their communities and encourage other societies to do the same. Whereas the City of Sebastian supports and recognizes those that make a difference in the community and is thankful for those that continuously step up and promote this single largest day of caring in our community. Now, therefore, I, Jim Hill, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of the City of Sebastian, Florida, do hereby proclaim October 22nd, 2022 as Make a Difference Day in the city and urge all citizens to join me in observing this day by connecting with friends, fellow employees, relatives, and with religious organizations, schools, and civic groups to engage in projects benefiting our community. James.
Yeah, as you said, my name is James Hamilton, and I'm the Florida State President of the Children of the American Revolution. And the Children of the American Revolution, or CAR, is an organization that basically trains the youth of America to have better patriotism and love of country and its heritage. And our presidents have projects every year, and for this project, I wanted to support the Arnold Palmer Children's Hospital. So I was raising money for that. And then I had a second project, which was, as he said, CAR Cares, or Come and Recognize Everyone Serving, where we are encouraging people to go out in their communities and thank people, such as him, for, helping out in the community and being a voice. So I would like to present a little certificate. Right there, yeah. And this special edition pin right here. And basically, that little pin right there cannot be purchased. It is rare. And it's just a thanks for always supporting us and supporting the community. So,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
We appreciate that. Holly Hamilton? That wasn't too difficult. This is a proclamation for Inflammatory Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which is October 2022. Whereas inflammatory breast cancer, or IBC, is a rare but very aggressive type of breast cancer in which the cancer cells block the lymph vessels in the skin and breast. And whereas individuals with IBC may experience symptoms such as redness, swelling, shooting pain, persistent itching, and warmth, which may appear virtually overnight. Whereas IBC usually grows in nests or sheets and is rarely detected by mammograms, the treatment of IBCs differs from other breast cancer treatments. Therefore, an experienced physician is essential. And whereas increasing public understanding of IBC is the first step toward fighting this devastating disease, and the Hunt for Hope Florida was established to raise funds for research grants. The 10th annual Hunt for Hope Florida will be held Saturday, October 15, 2022 at Riverview Park from 12:30 to 5 p.m. Now, therefore, I, Jim Hill, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of the city of Sebastian, Florida, do hereby proclaim October 2022 as Inflammatory Breast Cancer Awareness Month and urge all citizens to learn more about IBC and join the Hunt for Hope on October 15th. There we go.
Thank you. I know what a mouthful that is, and I appreciate you guys doing it all the time. I really didn't know anything about inflammatory breast cancer until my friend died from it. So it's something that is affecting a lot of people, even in this community, and a lot of people aren't aware of it. So the organization we work with is the IBC Network Foundation, which is all volunteer. Their goal is that the majority of their funds go to research grants and education awareness, so the doctors and potential patients are aware of this. So I just appreciate you guys supporting it. If you want to come out to Riverview Park on Saturday, we will be there. And I just thank you guys so much for supporting this continually. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next, before we go into the brief announcements, as Mayor Hill comes up here, I need to have him sit down because he was stressing down there a little bit. But I'm going to present him something. And Mayor Hill, I just want to say thank you for all the years of service you've given to the city. And based on that, from all of our employees here in the city, our staff, and the city council, we would like to thank you for your dedication to this community for over 20 years. And with that, we're going to present you with this.
I'm not very good at these things, so, but thank you so much. I appreciate that very much, and it's the employees of this community that make us look good. I can promise you that. We are dedicated and committed to this community, but it's the employees that make everything tick in this community. So it's an honor to work with every single employee that we have here. So thank you.
Okay, under brief announcements, on Saturday, October the 15th, the second annual Unity Cup Golf Tournament fundraiser for the Cope Unit, Sebastian Municipal Golf Course. It will be 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. I think the actually tee off at 8 a.m. On Thursday, October 20th, Sebastian PD Community Night Out at Riverview Park, and that'll be from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Our Cope Unit will be serving snow cones, popcorn, and hot dogs. On Saturday and Sunday, October the 22nd and 23rd, Barb Snow's Halloween Boo Bash will be at Riverview Park, Saturday at 9:30 a.m. till 5 p.m. and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. October 24th until November 5th, early voting is in the council chambers from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Friday, October 28th, Leisure Services Department Halloween Costume Contest. Registration begins at 5:30 p.m. Actual contest starts at 6:15. Sebastian PD Cope Unit will be there as well, and they're going to have a movie night, and that starts from 7 p.m. to 8:30 in the field next to the Twin Piers. Hocus Pocus, a 1993 rated PG movie, will be played that night. On Saturday, October 29th, Sebastian Exchange Club Junior Blue Water Open Fishing Tournament at the Twin Piers at Riverview Park from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Now, they are looking for volunteers to come down and assist the kids with helping them fish from the pier. So if there's anyone out there who would like to come down and volunteer to help the children with their fishing, please come down and help the Exchange Club out and the children with that. On November 4th, 5th, and 6th, the 19th Annual Clam Bake Lagoon Festival at Riverview Park. Friday, it would be from 2 to 9. Saturday, it would be from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. And Sunday, from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Thursday, November 10th, FDOT public meeting for US 1 reconstruction resurfacing will be here in the council chambers. So if you have any concerns about the resurfacing and what's going to take place out there on US 1, because it's going to be a mess, that's the time to come down and share your information with them.
Friday, November 11th, Veterans Day observance at Veterans Memorial in Riverview Park, and that will be at 11 a.m. And that's all the announcements I have, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Do any other council members have announcements to make? Brief announcements? All right, seeing none. We'll move to item 7 and recess the city council meeting and reconvene as the Community Redevelopment Agency. Move to 7A, approval of the minutes. Council, what's your pleasure?
Move approval.
Second that.
All right, motion is second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose same sign.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. McPartland. Item 7B, the Septic to Sewer Grant Program. Mr. Carlisle.
Yeah, Mayor, this was held over from our meeting in September. As you know, we moved those meetings forward. This is a septic to sewer grant to convert the Crasco Real Investments LLC from their existing septic systems into a sanitary sewer system. The estimate for the project is $9,553, and with the grant monies, it would be $5,000 the city would pay towards that grant. So we ask that council consider approving the grant for Crasco Real Investments in the amount of $5,000.
All right, thank you, Council. You've had plenty of time to look this one over, I think.
Mr. Mayor, move approval.
Thank you very much.
Second that.
Any discussion by council on this? Does anyone from the public wish to speak on the septic to sewer grant that we're about to provide? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Vice Chairman Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Dodd?
Yes.
Mr. McPartland?
Yes.
Mr. Nunn?
Yes.
And Chairman Hill.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 7C, approved DOT grant agreement for Riverfront CRA. Mr. Carlisle.
This is a grant that Ms. Frazier applied for to do some sustainable economic redevelopment plan for the CRA development, specifically along the river. And she was awarded that by the Department of Economic Opportunity. I think she's done a great job getting those funds. And we'd ask the council to approve the grant for $70,000 for the planning of the riverfront redevelopment, and authorize me to sign any.
All right, thank you, Council. What's your pleasure on item C?
Move approval. Second.
Any further discussion by council? Anyone from the public wish to discuss item 7C, approval of the grant? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Dodd?
Yes.
Mr. McPartland?
Yes.
Mr. Nunn?
Yes.
Chairman Hill?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Jones?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Item 7D, approve CSA number 4 to GIA Consultants, Inc. Mr. Carlisle.
Again, Mr. Mayor, this is the contract actually for the work to be done on the riverfront redevelopment plan. And GIA is one of our GAI is one of our consulting engineers that we have on staff, and they're very well situated to make this project a success. And we also have a deadline for this grant to be done by June 30th of 2023. So we need to really start moving on this as soon as we possibly can.
All right, thank you, Council. What's your pleasure on item 7D?
Move approval.
Second.
Anyone from the public wish to speak on this item? All right, seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. McPartland?
Aye.
Mr. Nunn?
Yes.
Chairman Hill?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Jones?
Yes.
And Mr. Dodd?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, great. We're going to call this one, I'm going to actually adjourn the CRA, reconvene as the city council member, go ahead and start the new item that we have on here, which is the City of Sebastian declaration of the local state of emergency per the request of Councilmember Dodd. Mr. Carlisle.
Yeah, Mayor, this is just a precautionary measure. We're successful in getting FEMA to authorize, I know Karen's working on the paperwork now, authorizing us to bring in our debris contractor to do one sweep throughout the community and collect this debris. This is not for household garbage, it's not for cleaning out your shed, it's for storm-related vegetation. So if you got refrigerators now there, but we need this declaration just because of the fact that we want to make sure that FEMA doesn't come back to us and say, well, you weren't under an emergency. I know the governor has us under one and they've declared us, but I thought as the abundance of caution that we should do this emergency declaration.
Okay, great. Council, what's your pleasure?
I don't know if we need a motion to do this or not, but I move we approve.
Second the motion.
Okay.
Do we need a motion to approve on that? I don't know. But
Because it's not just being declared by the mayor, usually when the mayor usually brings it back to council after he's declared it, you all ratify it. We would ask that you would ratify this through a formal vote.
Yes, the important thing for the citizens out there is that the city manager and our city engineer have just found out that we can do this, and they're making arrangements to get stuff picked up. And I know a lot of people have been upset because no one's picking it up, and they're actually going to make arrangements for it to be picked up. So it's very important we do this for the citizens.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. And so the whole idea here is that this was added because what we're doing, for anyone that doesn't understand, is we're essentially re-implementing a state of emergency for the city of Sebastian for the purpose of having the debris picked up.
Yes.
And we feel it necessary to potentially do this so that we can get reimbursed through FEMA should,
Right.
Right, so this is not really necessary. It's something that you believe that we should do because other municipalities or counties have actually just gone under the governor's emergency order. This is just out of abundance of caution that we actually do this so that we don't have any issues down the road with FEMA reimbursing those funds.
That's my request, exactly.
okay. Anyone from the public have anything to bring forward on this declaration of emergency to the city council? All right, council, any discussion? Mr. McPartland? Council?
No, I saw the county was going forward with it. I thought it was a great idea for us to do as well.
All right, thank you for that.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
This is a wonderful thing because there's a lot of yard debris still out there, and just making sure everybody understands when this does complete and we are able to get a contractor to handle the yard debris. It's going to be for yard debris only, but the good news is it's going to cover everybody whether you have waste management or not. So us doing this is abundance of caution to make sure we get our FEMA funding and to make sure we do the right thing for our citizens as they have expressed.
Okay, awesome. Anything else?
Yeah, just one other thing. I want to reiterate this point so that we don't get down the road and people go to throwing out stuff from their shed, their garages, and all of that stuff. This is just for the vegetation that they're going to pick up. So.
Yes, and it's supposed to be by vegetation that they picked up that was blown off trees or something by the
Storm-related debris.
So it's supposed to be storm-related. So, all right, thank you so much. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Thank you. That disposes of that, and I appreciate it very much, Council. At this time, item 9 is public input. Is there anyone here this evening that wishes to bring anything before this body that is not currently on the agenda? You may do so at this time. Yes, sir. Sir, I'm going to need you to come forward to the lectern, and then come on forward.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. How you doing, guys? I only have 5 minutes, so I'm going to be very brief. My name is Leonel Morejon Almagro. People call me Leo. I've been working for the Public Defender Office for 10 years as a FRP CDI. I've been married for 32 years. My wife is here with me. The next door is more young. My nephew is next to her. And I've been living in Lansing, Michigan, in Vero for 12 years. I'm going to be really brief. The reason I'm here, I would like to introduce for the next meeting, if possible, a week before, because I was reading the timeline, I don't reach that, an outline for a proposition that I have for the Sebastian Council, for the mayor, and for everybody here, for the public. I have a granddaughter, I was blessed, my family was blessed with my first granddaughter. Her name is Lehiris Morjon. She's the light of my life. 2 weeks ago, she got sick. She got a fever. She was like, so we decided what we're gonna do. We tried to take her to the doctor. I found the hard way that we don't have any place here in Sebastian to attend her, 24/7 kind of place, a clinic, small place. It doesn't have to be a hospital. So my son decided to take her to a hospital. He drove all the way to, I think it was Longwood Hospital, something like that. There was a long wait there, and I was really mad. I said, well, what's going on? We need something like here, like an emergency like that, so the children can be attended. And then, 2 days after that, I work at the courthouse. I was driving to US 1, and I noticed on my left, there was this magnificent place, new place, that I told my wife months ago, I had it wrong, that that was going to be a place for veterans. And when I read the sign, I read that it's a place, a veterinary clinic for dogs, cats, and pets. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, my granddaughter, Leilani, has to go 3 towns away to take care of, of a fever. And so we have this great place to take care of dogs and cats. So I don't want to go into politics. That's not the reason of my intervention. The reason I believe as community, as a city, we really could be better regarding this emergency. I was scared, I was in a panic mode, and I wonder what we can do as community to avoid a mother, a grandparent, a father experience the same panic that I had. So I believe that I want to help. I was telling Janet, I think her name is, I'm a master mason. My lodge is far away in Michigan, but I called the Masonic Lodge here. I talked to a couple of guys. I'm going to pay my duties there. I'm going to move down here. And I want to introduce it online. And I want to help you guys as a volunteer. I know, okay, one more minute. Yeah. I know it's going to cost a lot of money, a lot of efforts, but I really believe that is something that as a community, as a city, we should do. So that's my speech. I would like to introduce an outline for the next meeting of the City Council, and go from there and ask for help and participate in everything that you want me to do to help you to conquer this little dream for the city of Sebastian. Thank you.
Okay. I'll just give you a little bit of direction. The city manager sets the agenda. So whatever it is you're looking to accomplish, if you could get with the city manager and speak with him about exactly what it is you're talking about doing, and then he would be able to help you, maybe with the help of the city attorney, to get everything figured out as far as what it is you're looking for and whether or not it's something that should be on a future agenda.
Sure. So what's the name of the person that has to talk?
Paul Carlisle. He's got a card. He's got a card for you.
I don't ask for the hospital. I ask for a clinic, 24/7 clinic that the children, if somebody,
Sir.
at least can have it.
All right. Thank you very much. Get in touch with Mr. Carlisle. Thank you for coming up this evening.
I want to be back.
Very good.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
The gentleman coming up is from Habitat for Humanity. He was invited here by me just to make a really quick presentation about Habitat and what they're doing in Indian River County.
Okay, wonderful. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Nunn. I appreciate you all. Thanks for the opportunity to be here tonight. My name is Trevor Loomis, President and CEO of Indian River Habitat for Humanity. I just want to take a couple of minutes to discuss and to bring some awareness to the affordable housing crisis that is taking place here in Indian River County. Many of those folks who are experiencing housing instability are well aware of this issue, but many folks who have experienced stability for many years may not be as aware. And so I want to give you a little frame of reference. A person earning $15 an hour, which is by all intents and purposes an average starting wage at most employers, needs to they earn $31,000 a year. In order to afford rent, 50% of their gross income is $1,300 a month. 15 minutes ago, I looked on Zillow. There's one apartment, one rental unit in the city of Sebastian for less than $1,300 a month that is available right now. And it's $1,250, and it's about 450 square feet of paradise. The Florida Housing Coalition reported last year it takes a minimum of $45,000 of annual income to afford a 2-bedroom apartment in Indian River County without being cost burdened. Cost burdened is 30% of annual gross income for all housing costs, rent and utilities, or mortgage and utilities. That was last year, and that issue has only gotten worse over the last 12 months. There is a serious shortage of affordable housing in this community, There are not enough rental units. There are not enough home ownership units. The best case scenario for a family that needs to buy a house, you might find a house for $300,000 in this area. At today's interest rates, that's a $2,500 a month mortgage payment. I can tell you right now that workforce family, that family that's earning $15 to $20 an hour, will never qualify for that mortgage, and they will never be able to do it without being cost burdened. So it's going to take a lot for us to bridge the gap, right? Habitat for Humanity can't do it alone, but we are dedicated to doing everything that we can. We have been in business here in Indian River County for 31 years. We've built 535 homeownership units. We have done homeowner-occupied repairs of more than 600 units, many here in the city of Sebastian. And the families that we serve through our homeownership program are primarily, I can give you a list of the last 20: school district employees, teachers, janitors, food service workers, bus drivers, employees at the CVS distribution center, employees at Piper, social workers, restaurant managers, retail managers, bank tellers, a professor at IRSC, security manager at the Vero Beach Art Museum, 2 Apple computer techs, multiple landscapers, mental health professionals, nurses, CNAs, other medical workers, department manager at the local Ford dealership, employees at Fresh Market and Publix and Walmart, and then a number of workers at other nonprofit agencies. So these are people that we interact with on a daily basis. Those people, when you go to the grocery store, when you go to the doctor, when you go to the hospital, the people that make this community run, the workforce, needs housing. And people are being left behind at a rapid pace. So Habitat for Humanity here in Indian River County, we are committed to doing everything that we can through more repair, more construction of new homes, renovation of existing homes for affordable home ownership opportunities. But we need help. We need land. We need places to build. We desire to work with the city of Sebastian to do everything we can. We're not building substandard housing. We're not building subsidized housing. These are homes that are being sold for appraised value using an independent third-party appraiser. In the Oslo Park neighborhood, over the last several years, we've built dozens and dozens of homes there. The property values have gone up 6 times. Where a vacant lot used to be $5,000, it's now $50,000. Part of that has to do with the market, but part of that has to do with the neighborhood revitalization efforts that have happened. So I just wanted to bring some awareness to the affordable housing crisis and to let you know we would love to work with the city of Sebastian to help mitigate these issues in any way that's possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Certainly Habitat for Humanity does wonderful things in our community.
If I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
I thought it was important that, with all the discussion I've had with them through the Affordable Housing Committee, one of my jobs that I do as a city council member, it's surprising to hear the list of people that they're building houses for. I know there's a stigma that goes with Habitat for people, but it's not a stigma. I'm telling you, the people they're supporting are your friends and your neighbors and people just like us. So thank you for being here.
No question. Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir. I'll get you next.
Oh, Mr. Mayor, if I could, I just wanted to piggyback off the Habitat for Humanity. I'm over here in the Disaster Recovery Center over in Port Charlotte, and they had a housing crisis before the storm. And if we had gotten hit by one of those storms, our housing crisis, I don't even know what it would be after that.
All right, thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Frank Nolan, and I'm going to piggyback off that gentleman a little bit too. I was going, a few months ago, y'all, and I have 2 points, and I'll try to make them quick. Y'all started talking about affordable housing, and I thanked you for that. And it didn't seem like anything was happening. And I know, you talked about annexation, but that's in Tomorrowland. We have to worry about today. And right now, I'll just give you a few examples. A young man told me that he was offered a a bedroom in somebody's garage for $700 a month. And he really wouldn't have any privacy because the washer and dryer is in there. Me personally, I thought I was going to have my own place. And 3 days after I agreed on a price, the price went up $300. I lost a woman in my life that I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with, because one of the reasons was she couldn't afford to stay here anymore. Her duplex that she was renting was sold, and the rent was brought up $550. There's a house where I am now across the street that a year and a half ago was $2,000. It's now $3,000. And it's been empty for 2 months. Today I had 2 of my coworkers say, "Frank, help us find a place to live." I can't go, poof, there's a place. You know, a lady that drives for Go Line told me today, "Frank, I'm leaving in June. I've had enough of Sebastian. I've had enough of Florida." She's moving somewhere else. What scares me, and it takes a lot to scare me, is that a lot more people are going to become homeless. I don't think you all realize how many homeless there are here. Okay, I'm not talking about by the river. I'm not talking about Walmart, because a lot of those people at Walmart, they're not homeless. I can show you where they live. But, you know, out west, where I'm working now, I didn't realize how many there are of homeless people. There's a lot of teenagers that are homeless. And we need to do something, and we need to do it fast, because I'm sorry. You all know that I would go out 5 or 6 nights a week. 6 weeks ago, I found out that I'm sick. And so I only go out 2 nights a week. So we need to help people. And I'm going to stop right now. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I can assure everyone that the issue with affordable housing and the homeless issue that we have in Indian River County is not one that is going by the wayside. We have staff members and many people in our community that are working very hard to try to figure out and resolve these issues. It may not be out in the forefront every day, but there are people that work on these issues every day. And while we're on our committees and other things that we do out in the public, we hear about it all the time. So it's not something that we're not aware of, and it's not something that's not being tried to be dealt with. It's definitely the cost of housing in the state of Florida, and specifically Indian River County, has become a problem for a lot of people who want to live here. So I can assure you that your government, but even more importantly than that, your staff, our staff, understand the problem, and they're working on it. And they do that through land use regulations and other things to try to alleviate the pressure that we're under here. Anyone else wish to speak this evening? Yes, ma'am.
Apologize, I'm a little nervous.
It's okay.
Sarah Carlson. I live here in town. I've helped to build several homes in the Oslo Park neighborhood. So,
ma'am, you got to speak right into that microphone so we can hear you.
I'm sorry, I'm very soft-spoken.
It's okay.
I just wanted to bring awareness to a situation I'm facing here in town. I bought an older home here in town in 2017, and at the time, the lots around me were vacant, which is not a situation that is current anymore in town. But the homes being built around me, of course, are built to the new code that my house was not built to in the 1970s. I am now the new retention pond for my block, and it's causing me a lot of financial hardship. I have talked to stormwater management. I have come to City Hall and tried to talk to people, and I'm basically just told very nicely very nicely, I'm told that it's my problem. And my expectation is that when these new homes are being built, that there's some consideration or should be taken for the homes that are already there. And I understand that, and I've also been told, welcome to home ownership. And I get that. I understand I have a responsibility to manage my own property. But, when there's, at the time when my home was built, and it was built on sort of somewhat level ground, and I can't raise my property. I've lost property. In the last month, I've spent nearly $10,000 to make corrections on my property, and I'm not done yet. And I was a homeless veteran when I got out of the service, and my biggest fear is that financial difficulties can cause me to be there again. And so I get this affordable housing issue. I could afford my home when I bought it. Prices are going up. That's part of why making these fixes on my property is costing me as much as it is. Part of what I've lost is a workshop with power that's sitting on the back side of my lot. It was all there when I bought it. But I'm just looking for, is there anything that the city can do? Is there anything that anybody can do and to help me or others? I keep getting told that I'm not the only one dealing with this problem. If that's the case, shouldn't the city be? And I'm not trying to sound accusatory or anything. I apologize if it comes off that way.
Not at all.
But if it is a problem that others are facing and not just myself, shouldn't we be doing something about it? Is something being done and I just don't know about it? I don't know if I'm not asking the right people.
I'm just gonna ask, have you spoken with the city manager about this?
Mr. Mayor?
Not directly, no.
Okay, if you could, if there are a lot, just one second. There are a lot of folks who are in your situation, and I understand you're low, and the new health code has caused them to build the houses 3 feet taller than yours, and and that all of that water seems to come down. But I think that if you could just do me a favor and speak with the city manager, and he could speak with his staff and kind of really understand exactly what your situation is and get the answer, then I think that would be the place to start. I know you've gone to certain departments here in town. If you could speak with the city manager, I'm sure that he could work with you and talk and just get you the answer. And then, I'm not sure what that answer may be. Maybe there's an issue with the drainage that's causing something to happen on your property that shouldn't be happening. But certainly there shouldn't be an issue where you're getting an excessive amount of water that's not supposed to be there. So I would suggest you start with the city manager, and then hopefully he can help you get some answers on that.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Yes, you may.
We communicated by email, correct? You and I at DOT?
No.
Oh, I thought we did. Is she the lady that I sent you the email and you had someone go out and look at her?
I don't know what her address is, but we'll circle back with her.
Okay, because,
I've only spoken to members of stormwater management.
It's the exact same story. I had an email communication with another lady.
And you could get that story 40 times. So I think that if it's something that's actually a problem that's causing you some issues, then it'll have to be dealt with by the city for sure. So start with Mr. Carlisle. He has a business card. Give him a call tomorrow, and I'm sure he'll be able to get with you, have someone come out and take a look at your properties, that he'll give you the answer on that, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Could
Yes,
I get your name? Sarah Carlson. Sarah Carlson, thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Carlson. Does anyone else wish to bring something forward to this council this evening? All right, seeing none, we will move on to item 10, consent agenda. Council, what's your pleasure on the consent agenda?
Move approval. Second.
All right, we got a motion in a second. Roll call, please.
Mayor Hill,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jones,
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd,
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin,
Yes.
And Councilmember Nunn.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you very much. We now move on to committee reports and appointments. Item 11A, Planning and Zoning Commission. We have an opening for an alternate member, and we got several applicants for this, which is wonderful. And I will now open up for nominations.
Mr. Mayor? Oh, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I nominate Dennis Haddix.
All right, I got Dennis Haddix. Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to nominate Susan LaRusso.
All right. Anything else? All right, so what we'll do is we will go ahead and ask the city clerk to poll individual council members, and when she gets to your name, please say either Haddix or LaRusso.
Vice Mayor Jones.
Haddix.
Councilmember Dodd.
Haddix.
Councilmember McPartlin.
LaRusso.
Councilmember Nunn.
LaRusso.
And Mayor Hill.
That would be Haddix. All right, appreciate everyone for your applying for that. That's a wonderful show of support for this community, and that's very appreciated. That leads us up to item 11B, which is the construction board. We have two positions that are coming available. Mr. Nicholas Shasowski and Christopher Roberts would like to stay on, and there are no other applicants. Council, what's your pleasure on the construction board?
I'd like to make a motion to approve renewing the two gentlemen to their positions.
Second.
All right, anything else? All right, so thank you for your service to the community, and you have been appointed to those positions once more. That leads us to item 12, public hearing. I will open that public hearing and ask Mr. Anand to read the title.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first title for a public hearing is a Fair Housing, Training, and Community Development Block Grant Program Review.
Andy, I want you to read the ordinance. I want you to read the ordinance title.
I'm sorry, I wasn't clear. If you could just read the ordinance, that'd be great.
Roger that. Okay, the ordinance 2213, first reading and transmittal hearing, request for comprehensive plan, future land use map, and text amendment, Grace Brothers Company. The ordinance reads, an ordinance of the City of Sebastian, Florida relating to the comprehensive plan amending the future land use map by establishing a land use classification of MU, open paren mixed use.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
We're on item A.
We're on item A, and I messed that whole thing up.
Yes.
It is item A.
I apologize. That was totally on me. Item A, Mr. Mr. Carlisle, you're up, sir. That's my fault. I apologize.
So, Mr. Mayor, members of council, it's that time of year. We got our funding, and Mr. Adelaide's here to talk about the public input on how that money should be distributed. I'll turn the presentation over.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening, council members. Corbett Allday with Guardian Community Resource Management Offices, Dade City. For the record, I'm here for an annual fair housing activity that we do for HUD CDBG compliance, a short fair housing training, and for an update on the program, and to allow for public input on CDBG Community Development Block Grant Program needs. Fair housing is the law. There's Franklin, the fair housing mascot you may see on some of the HUD fair housing materials. Fair Housing Act lets you choose, so you get to choose where you live. The Fair Housing Act is a federal law enacted in 1968 that prohibits discrimination in the purchase, sale, rental, or financing of housing, private or public. State and local laws may expand on these protections as well. The Federal Housing Act prohibits refusing to rent, refusing to sell, refusing to make available or negotiate, refusing to make a mortgage loan or provide insurance, impose different terms or conditions, threaten, coercion, or intimidate, make discriminatory advertising based on race, color, national origin, religion, gender, and by a 1998 amendment, disability and familial status. What counts? What can they still count? Well, they can still count your ability to pay, income, your capital, your property, your savings, and your credit history in considering you for a house for rent or for sale. The fair housing symbol, you may recognize it. It should appear on any fair housing materials. There should be a fair housing poster here at City Hall saying that we support equal housing opportunity. If you have a disability, there's additional protections. The landlord may not refuse to make reasonable accommodations for you to use the property on an equal basis, like a bathroom bar. Landlord may not refuse to let you make reasonable modifications to your dwelling or common use at your expense. And accessibility requirements. Accessibility requirements for buildings with 4 or more units first occupied after March 13, 1991. Benefits, fair housing is the law, just like equal employment opportunity. Exemptions, owner-occupied buildings with no more than 4 units. So if you have a triplex, you live in one and rent the other 2, you're exempt. Single-family housing sold or rented without a broker. Housing for members only. And housing for older persons, and those that have to be zoned properly, obviously, for those uses. Discrimination, discrimination. The sign says vacancy, but the manager says we just rented it. You really wouldn't have enough space with so many children. I don't think your wheelchair would fit through our doors. Only tenants of certain race get eviction notices, etc. What can you do? Talk to your local government fair housing coordinator. You have 1 year to file a complaint with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and discrimination stops when people stop putting up with it. And there are your online training websites, your state of Florida housing tools, and your HUD contact information if you feel like you have been discriminated against. Any questions on fair housing? That's the end of the fair housing presentation. I do have the CDBG update for you.
All right, any questions of council? All right, thank you. Go ahead, sir.
All right, so for our update on the CDBG, Community Development Block Grant Program. Our program and our national objectives is LMI housing rehabilitation, low and moderate income, as defined by HUD. We're utilizing funds to benefit extremely low income, very low income, elderly, disabled, and veteran households whenever possible. We allow rehabilitation to include code and housing quality standard corrections, accessibility additions and corrections for ADA, hurricane hardening, and weatherization. Housing rehabilitation program funds available. Notice to the public on October 26th. Program orientations were held for interested homeowners and contractors on November 5th. 6 contractor applications were received and found to be eligible. 2 of those were WMBE firms. 5 homeowner applicants were received and vetted and found to be eligible. 1 homeowner withdrew because he received a family inheritance and thought that would be duplication of benefit, that he should use those funds instead to repair his house. HUD required demographic tracking data breakdown as follows. We have 4 total LMI houses to serve. We have 1 extremely low income, 1 very low income, and 2 LMI, excuse me. No applicants were veterans, no applicants were disabled, 1 was elderly, and 3 were female head of household. Housing rehabilitation construction budget is $104,824. CDBG carryover is $2,731. So the housing rehab construction budget is $107,555. As bids are recommended, the total for all F21-22 projects is $86,985. That's an average of about $21,746 per house leaving a total of $18,570 for change orders. We contract we project the construction to be active from October through January. The next funding cycle for the next housing activity, we project to advertise in November, and orientations to be held in December, then vetting in January, February, inspections in February, March, an invitation to bid in April or May, and contract to construction in June, July. And that is my presentation. I'm here for your questions.
Okay, thank you, Council. I guess that's relative to awarding the bid. Is that correct? And what's your pleasure on item AII?
Second.
A motion is second. Does anyone from the public wish to discuss item AII, which is the awarding of or the approval of the bids for the CDBG grants?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I have someone with their hand raised.
Okay. Thank you.
All right,
Good
Ms.
evening.
Quick.
Actually, my comment was about the young lady that was speaking about the leveling of the properties and the flooding about it.
Ma'am,
Mr. Dodd,
we're going to go ahead and move on from that. So if you want to bring something to the council under public input at the next meeting, you're welcome to do so.
Well, I just figured while she was there and I could answer some questions. Mr. Dodd, we spoke 2 years ago
She's
via
actually,
email.
ma'am, this is.
And I went in and spoke. See, this is what happens.
Go ahead and cut her off. Thank you. All right, this is for item AII. Anyone wish to speak on item AII? And ma'am, if you would like, you can bring something up under public input at the next meeting. Anything further from council? No. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Mayor Hill?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Jones?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. And now I shall open public hearing for item 12B and ask Mr. Anand to read the title. Thank you, sir.
You confused me there, sir, for a second. All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an ordinance of the City of Sebastian, Florida, relating to the comprehensive plan, amending the future land use map by establishing a land use classification of MU, open paren, mixed use, close paren, for the annexed land with a prior county land use designation of AG1, open paren, agricultural, close paren, on property consisting of 1,913.593 acres, more or less, located south of County Road 510, west of land adjacent to 74th Avenue, north of 69th Street, and east of 90th Avenue, amending the land use element with site-specific policies, authorizing administrative actions, providing for conflict, providing for severability interpretation, providing for scrivener's error, providing for an effective date, and providing for an adoption schedule.
Thank you. Mr. Carlisle.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of council, this is the future land use. This is not approving the annexation. This future land use and with recommendations from the Planning and Zoning Board are before you tonight. Those requests to comply with our comprehensive plan and our land development code have been incorporated into this ordinance. And any large-scale land development change needs to go to DEO. So we're asking you to look at this ordinance, approve this ordinance for submittal to DEO. And I will turn it over to Ms. Frazier to answer any major questions you have. But again, Planning and Zoning agreed to move this, advised they would agree to move this forward with those recommendations that are incorporated.
Okay, thank you so much. Ms. Frazier.
I'm here to answer your questions
Okay,
unless
wonderful.
you would like me to do a presentation.
And Mr. Bass is here as well.
Okay, and this was approved or recommended by the
Planning and Zoning, the
Planning and
LPA.
Zoning, yes, sir.
Yes.
And unanimous vote?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to go ahead and get the public first, Mr. Dodd?
Yeah.
And then we'll go ahead and do some council deliberations. Anyone from the public wish to bring anything forward on the flume and us submitting it to the state? Anyone with their hand up?
I have one hand raised. 1 second.
All right, make sure it's on the flume. Thank you.
Hello, Dr. Cox.
Yes, thank you. I'm never sure whether the microphone's working when I speak, but here I am. Mr. Mayor and the City Council members, I'm going to repeat something that we've said before, and we'll keep saying it while ever. Hello?
Go ahead.
Hello?
Mr. Cox, you may go ahead.
Thank you very much. As I said, we've discussed this before with you, and we'll keep discussing it until we get it right. What's coming up before you is essentially a sort of jumping ahead before you've really done your homework. We want to see an agreement, an annexation agreement that has been negotiated and includes a lot of public input. And without that, we think that you're giving away the store when it comes to control over what's going to happen on this Graves Brothers property. We'd like to see a competent design leader on this piece of property that requires you look really at the physical structure and the soils and the ecology of that land. We know Mr. Bass knows it well, but we don't know it well. We need to know exactly what kind of ideas are going into this mixed use. We don't see any need to change the agricultural zoning until you have looked at the land as a whole and the wetland areas as a whole. It's disgraceful to me, as far as I'm concerned, that we're going ahead so quickly with this without adequate public input. And I know that Mr. Dodd has said there's going to be workshop to death. Well, it hasn't been. We've only had two workshops on this, plus a presentation to the city, to the Planning and Zoning Board. So what I'm appealing for is far more public input before you make decisions that give away the store. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to bring anything forward? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Tim Glover. I'm president of the Friends of St. Sebastian River. Development of this property will permanently change the character of Sebastian. We think it's reasonable to get some assurances that there will be resources that will be protected on the site, that there will be provisions for amenities and features that are in the public interest, and that is done by the annexation agreement. We think that's a reasonable request. We've been participating with several other organizations, the Indian River Neighborhood Association, the Pelican Island Audubon Society, and the Clean Water Coalition, requesting that. One of the provisions, for example, that we would like to see is increased stormwater retention. Florida statute provides for that if a property is directly discharging to outstanding Florida water. The Indian River Lagoon is classified as an outstanding Florida water. The St. Sebastian River is specifically excluded from that by legal mumbo jumbo, but it is one of the largest tributaries to the Indian River Lagoon. So you can't tell me that there isn't any kind of an impact. So we would like to reiterate the fact that we think it's appropriate to have an annexation agreement prior to providing any land use changes for this property prior to its annexation. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to bring someone forward on this? Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Peter Hink, and I'm a resident of Sebastian, and I've been coming to quite a few meetings, and I've been listening to what all these organizations like the Audubon Society, Friends of St. Sebastian River, the Coalition for Clean Water, and I just want you to know that these groups really have Sebastian's best interest in mind, and I just ask you as a council to listen to what they have to say. Work with them. You know, it seems like there's a lot of fighting going back and forth, but please, I think they have their best interests, and I know you guys have the best interests. Work together. I'd like to see everyone work together, and that way everyone comes to agreement. You don't have to agree on everything, but, listen to what they have to say and really take the time and show the interest. I think they would really appreciate it, and I think that would really help clear up a lot of things. But I would like to see the best for Sebastian, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Hi, guys.
My name is Charles Stadelman. I am a resident of Sebastian, and I'm here speaking on my own behalf, mostly because the things that I do represent the city for, we haven't been asked to be included in this yet. I'm sure at some point we will be, as well as I don't have authorization from who I work with to come up here and talk to you because we have been directed by the city council. We serve the city council, we serve the city of Sebastian. A lot of what we're hearing is a lot of people want to put in the input on this. There's a lot of environmental issues, obviously, but we don't get a chance to discover what they are if we're not asked. That's been really what I've been harping on since the day I came is bringing whatever you got to the boards. I know you brought it to planning and zoning, but they mostly just work on the mixed use issue. We would like an opportunity to address the water quality issues, the wildlife issues, how the people are going to live on there, the type of housing that may be able to go on there, and to maybe present something that hasn't even been thought of. You have a full board, just on the board that I sit on, of scientists, city planners, people who've been doing this for a lot longer than I have, and my expertise is mostly giving those people a voice, and is the reason why I'm standing here today. I would like it if you included all the boards in, not just planning and zoning, and I'm talking Parks and Rec even. They would probably like to get in there, and I think a lot of these battles that have been fought out here, both in the public arena and in the judicial system, through lawsuits done by organizations that may or may not have vested interests in mind, but they keep bringing them up because either mistakes are made in general or things just aren't found out just because we just don't know. The biggest thing that I would like to make to mind would be the quasi-political CCP, I think it was, that is going into the new subdivision. It's going to be its own political function, basically. That was a big surprise to all of us. Things like that. And that land out there has been worked on for generations. When I was a kid, they filled in the land, plowed it under, and we would like a chance to see just exactly the damages that are out there and what we can do to save what we can, but we can't do that unless you give us a chance to. And if you can give us a chance to do it, we'd be glad to serve you and to serve Sebastian as best as we can. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else have anything to bring on this? Yes, ma'am.
Hi. Thanks for letting me speak. I'm Diana Bolton. I live in Sebastian Highlands. And what a lot of people, we're very much involved, as you know. You see me a lot here speaking. And I may be repeating myself, but I want to say some things out to the public that they're not aware of. We are the largest city in Indian River County. We have 27,000 people. And this annexation, when we're talking mixed use, nobody here today has even mentioned the fact that this is, if you look at the information that's been provided by the city, that's 10 to 12 units per acre. So when you do the math on 1,984 acres, you're coming up with approximately 40,000 or more new residents. So that's the math. It's actually higher than that. And somebody just quoted me 50,000 according to their math. But if you just do the math on it, that's what it comes out to. So that's what you guys are giving permission to the developer to do. There's no provision here for green space. There's a river, creeks that are tributaries to the St. Sebastian River that run through this property. There's absolutely no provision for that. The future ideas have been...
Did you read the agenda? Did you read the agenda?
No, there was none up there.
Did you read the transmittal?
There's none available.
Well, ma'am, it's available online. You didn't read it before you came up here because nothing you're saying is true. What's written in
we're talking about mixed use.
Yes, and we're also talking about the entire transmittal, which has gone through the planning and zoning, and there's a long list of things in there that are required. and
There were none provided up there for me, or
It's
for a
online,
lot of
ma'am.
people that
You may
went
go
to
ahead
look
and
for them.
continue.
Yeah, there's
But it would be
no,
better
there's
if you
no
actually
agendas
got
available.
information and knew what you were talking about before you came forward.
I agree.
Thank you.
But I have been looking at this, and there's 1984 acres, and mixed use is 10 to 12 units per acre. So if you do the math on that, it's coming out to 40 to 50,000 new residents as it stands, but there's no provision for green space, and there's no provision for
Again, ma'am,
conservation.
you should, I'm just going to interrupt you because you're giving information that is not true. There's clear provisions for green space. It's clear.
Could you provide me with that?
It's online.
Okay, I haven't seen any provision for green space at all. None.
50% green space?
I haven't seen any provision for
It's
green
our
space
ordinance.
at all. Could
It's in
somebody
the law.
provide me with that? Because I've been asking for that, and I asked for it in the last month when I stood up. And so have these groups. They've been asking for
So your
that.
numbers are completely incorrect. Mr. Dodd, did you want to say something? And I'll pause your time because
Is
I'll
there-
let you continue.
Mayor Hill, is it possible I can get a copy of what you're
You
referring
can
to?
100% get a copy of it.
Okay.
It's all public record. It's our city
It wasn't
ordinances.
available to the 2 workshops that I
Ma'am,
attended.
it's a city ordinance. It's available to anybody that wants it at any time.
It wasn't available in the last 2 workshops
The
that I
agenda-
attended.
Be
And I don't
careful.
see it.
We're-
Does somebody in this room have a copy of
Can I
this?
address it? Yeah, I do.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Dodd.
I do. I think there's a full agenda packet laying on the back table, but let me read some
There is.
things to you just to
There
help
isn't
a
one.
little bit. Okay,
There
just a
isn't
second.
one, Mr. Dodd.
Okay, when we talk about the future land use map for this, the mixed use is correct. And
Can we see it up on the screen so everybody can see what
Okay.
you're talking about?
I don't
Mr.
have any
Dodd,
problem
we're going to
putting it
do
on
this afterward because
Well,
she's,
okay.
if she's going to be back and forth.
All right.
You've got
I'll
2
tell
more
you what,
minutes.
after public input.
Yes.
After public input, I will address, and I will ask that the city pull out of his agenda packet these 2 pages, and we'll
Okay.
put them up and go through them.
Okay, very good.
Well, not the print. You're saying there's green space
All right,
provided.
all right,
Can we
I'm-
see that?
we're gonna address this.
Can we show that to the public? Can you show it to me?
I'm going-
Because I haven't seen it.
You're
Okay,
gonna see
I'm
it.
going to address it. I'm going to
Okay.
address it.
All right.
Okay?
Okay, thank
Do
you.
you have anything further?
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you.
Have you got a copy of that in the back that we can pull out? It's page 265 and 266.
Does anyone else from the public wish to
of
bring
the- of
anything
the
forward
agenda packet.
on the flume at this time? All right, seeing none, I will close public input. And I will say that the only reason that there was interruptions during that was because there were things that were being said that were clearly not true. And so we can't just let someone stand up there and lie about this project. And so that's the only reason I interrupted. Okay, anything from...
Can I go now?
You calling me a liar?
That is not exactly what I did. I said there were lies being said. So anyway,
Can I go?
you may go, Mr.
All right,
Dodd.
thank you.
You're welcome.
First, as a piece of mechanical fixing here, on policy 1.171 on page 265, it says 1913.593 plus or minus property located at, I think the word acre should be in there. 1913.593 acre property located at. Okay, because it was kind of confusing without that word in there. So I just noticed that. All right, I'm going to go through these because I think it's important that we do this. And I apologize, quite frankly, I'll apologize that this went out in the agenda packet last week, and I don't know how many people the agenda packet goes to, but, and I actually posted online last week, I think on Wednesday maybe, I posted online on Wednesday that we were going to do this and ask people to go to the city website and find this information. Would you like to say something, ma'am?
I would, Mr. Dodd, if you don't mind. I would like to just clarify and point out some very important points about this. What you are about to read is very similar, almost identical, to the ordinance that was passed in 2019 in regard to the future land use.
I don't want to disrupt you, but I don't want to do any 2019 talk.
I understand, but
Okay.
this is the exact information almost.
Okay.
This information was presented to the LPA back in, when did we have their meeting? In September?
Yes.
And so this information has been out there
Okay.
repeatedly.
I'm-
And this is information that we're asking to make a text amendment
Okay.
along with the map
Okay,
amendment.
I'm fully aware that we've
Thank you.
communicated this. It's just that many people don't think we have.
I understand,
And
that's why I wanted to
it's called
clarify.
politics. This isn't mechanics or procedure or policy, it's politics.
I understand.
Okay?
Thank you,
And
sir.
so I want to make sure that everybody understands that we've done this. Now, the rezoning of this property is going to be done in a plan unit development process, which means that the owner of the property, and this is attached to the future land use map. This becomes a legal part of the future land use map, and it can't change, okay? So item number A is a rezoning of the property will be done through a plan unit development process, which means that the owner of the property will come back to the city with a preliminary plat for the PUD that identifies what and where they plan on building within that from a zoning capability, and the council will approve that preliminary plat. Once that's approved, they can't change that without coming back for approval again. They can't modify what's in that preliminary plat. There's a little caveat down here in a minute I'll get to that you'll see with that, okay? The housing type shall be mixed to meet various income levels and lifestyle choices, okay? There are many, many laws, federal and state laws, that talk about property rights. And we can ask a developer through things like this to do mixed types of income, but we can't tell him exactly what to build. That's a property rights issue. We have to be very careful we don't cross that boundary. The minute we do, we end up in court, we don't win. We can't win that thing. But we can defend our mixed-use criteria in court. We have it defined, and we can defend it. And we're saying within the stuff that goes to this fume, that'll be there. Future dedication of right-of-way on a mutual consent for land owned to the appropriate entity that promotes interconnected road grids. And we've actually labeled some roads in here. Those interconnected road grids have to be done as part of the flume. That includes 77th Street, 73rd, 74th, 81st, 82nd Avenue, so forth. We have in here a provision for a mixed-use town center area. What that means is that they're going to build a town center, that they build the residential arena around that town center some way or another. Don't confuse this with what's being built on 510 under the county project, because they're building a traditional commercial center along 510 with residential behind that, probably gated communities behind that, because it doesn't really show that in that mix. Future dedication of institutional lands necessary for things like schools, public safety, public services, and so forth will be made by the owner in this process. Okay, that's all part of what they're going to do with the land. And if you go to the next page, Paul. Strategic Assembly of Commerce and Industrial Development consistent with the city's comprehensive plan land use, mixed land use. This basically talks about commercial and industrial, if there is any industrial in this area, being done in concert with the way we've got it defined within that. I don't know for sure whether he's going to do any industrial development in there or not, but light industrial is part of what you can do in a mixed use category. Dedication of conservation lands to the appropriate entity at the time of the development to include any natural areas of significant importance, the provision of greenway trails to promote a system of connectivity and access consistent with the city's comprehensive plan. That's in this document. Dedication of city park and recreational facilities. It actually talks about 2,000 acres per 1,000 residents and so forth in there. Increased buffers adjacent to low-density areas outside the PUD area. So an increased vegetative buffer area between this property and low-density property around that is in this. As a condition of future development, significant land area will be allocated for infrastructure required to support the development and mandate hookup and central potable water and wastewater systems. That's basically saying that the property owner has to deal with the county utility, and he cannot put septic tanks in this area. It specifically says that there will be however, no septic systems will be allowed in accordance with the city planning thing. Property shall be master planned in a minimum of no less than 500 acres. Now, what that means is that the property owner can come back and say, here's a 500-acre tract, here's a preliminary plan for that 500-acre tract, this is what we intend to do with that. They can't develop it, though, through that preliminary plan process in 100-acre tracts or 50-acre tracts. We're asking for 500-acre tracts in that. And then consistent with mixed use for a minimum of 30% non-residential and 70% residential. That's pretty consistent when you look at mixed-use categories across the state, the 30-70 ratio of 30% non-residential to 70% residential. One of the things we heard earlier, some very convincing arguments about affordable housing. Quite frankly, the only way you get affordable housing is smaller footprints, higher density, smaller lot sizes. You don't get affordable housing on half-acre lots in an executive setting. You get affordable housing with smaller footprints and larger densities. So for people who want to talk about how many units per acre you're going to approve within this piece of property, it makes no sense. We can say 2, we can say 3, we can say 4, but the only way we're going to build affordable or attainable housing on that property is to build more than that. It's not going to be 10. RM10 allows 10 or 12 in certain conditions, but this whole thing can't be that. The next thing, which is item M on that, the property shall require a minimum aggregate total of 50% open space. 50% open space. And then it goes through each of the qualified habits. It's, preservations, conservation, stormwater uses, wet water uses, what that open space can be done in. So all of those arguments were covered within this document. And the reason I don't want to go back to 2019 is it makes no sense for us to argue politics over 2019. That was a debacle, okay, in 2019. This is not a debacle. This is on the flume. The annexation agreement that's being worked on is going to solve all of these other problems. But there is a process and a procedure that the city has to follow. You can't solve every problem and identify every issue before you do anything. It won't work that way. The city has to follow a process. This future land use map amendment has to be sent to the state before we can approve it. It has to be, and I believe we also send them to the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council and to the county for their review and comments back. So we have to do that first. Then we can approve it, the future land use map. But we're going to approve the future land use map, the annexation agreement, and the annexation not as a single action, but after all of it is complete. There will be an annexation agreement approved before the annexation is approved. There'll be a future land use map approved before the annexation agreement is approved. There's nothing being hidden from anybody here. And all these things about, 10,000 houses and 50,000 houses, that's all smoke. It's all smoke. It's not in the documents anywhere. And you have to just go find them. You have to read them. So the reason I posted that on Facebook is I was kind of concerned that people would come in here and not have done their homework and not have looked at it. So I put a post out there asking people to go look. Come in and talk to us, but go look first at what's in there. And I think all of these things are covered within that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. Council, we are now in deliberations with council. Questions of staff, comments or questions for anybody else? Mr. McParland, out on the West Coast? You still have internet over there?
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble with the thing.
No problem.
No, I'm in agreement, it's a process, and I imagine, after this goes forward, when it comes back, we'll have some future workshops. They might just be informational to discuss where we're going. I'll make a motion to approve the flume.
I'll second.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Nunn, any more comments, anybody?
I think what Councilman Dodd read cleared up some of the misconfusion from earlier, but the only way this will go and be successful and people will be happy is if things are factual, real, and transparent. Well, thank God everything's transparent. I hear people say, I wish it was transparent. This agenda's been available. It's available to anybody that wants it. Any agenda that we've ever had is available to anybody that wants it. Available on the city website. If you don't have a computer, please come in and talk to the front counter and tell them you want an agenda, and Mr. Ron out here will get you an agenda, a full agenda, for free, no cost, because you asked for it. We're not going to deliver an agenda to your house. We're not going to deliver it door to door and say, here you go. Here's all the information. So I would just encourage anybody, I think Mr. Councilman Dodd just said it, is if you are going to come speak, at least be aware and conscious and understanding of what you're speaking on based on the item that's in the agenda. Because everything that was said was in the agenda clearly. The reason things were so bad last time is there was a lot of misinformation. And I understand the mayor's frustration with misinformation, but if groups want to be taken seriously and want us to talk to them, quit using the crap. Quit using misinformation. Quit using that. If you want to be taken seriously, come talk to us with knowledgeable information. Don't come up here and give misinformation. Come up here with the facts and the truth that's in the agenda. I mean, if you want us to take you seriously, you want us to consult and work with you, act like you're a partner and stop acting like you're a crazy bully. And that's my feelings and my feelings only.
You're about as wound up as I normally get, Mr. Nudd.
Mr. Mayor, I want to read one more thing.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
I'd like to just read one thing to let people know. Now, the mixed-use plume designation and PUD development approval process provides the city with the tools and the regulatory authority to guide and direct the location, uses, and intensities of residential and non-residential uses, while providing additional regulations to ensure land use compatibility, buffering, and open space provisions, prevention of urban sprawl, and protection and management of natural resources.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I have nothing further. We have a motion and a second. Staff, is there anything that needs to be clarified before we move this forward?
Now, unless you have any other additional questions for us, we're here.
Okay.
I just want to apologize for interrupting Ms. Fraser over there, but I just didn't want to get 2019 involved in this.
No, sir.
Blood pressure medicine.
I just want to
can
thank
just
you
go-
all for paying attention to what we've been putting together, to being a part of it, to understanding it, to coming into my office and discussing it. We so appreciate this. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. That being said, roll call, please.
Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Mayor Hill?
Yes. That was a yes.
Okay. Vice Mayor Jones?
Yes.
And Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Thank you very much for that. We'll now move to item 14A, resolution number R-22-30, the FDOT PTGA for design and construction of 4 square hangars at our airport. Mr. Carlisle.
Yeah, Mayor, we originally had a grant from DOT to construct 2 square hangars at the airport. We were trying to get them in under budget or at least in budget, and if you remember, at a previous meeting, we asked you to rescind that RFQ because of the inability to meet the budget. We were subsequently offered an award for another grant for 2 additional hangars. Mr. Sabo had met with them with DOT to combine those 2, and then we could put out a bid for 4 hangars at one time and through the scale of value. We'd like to do that. So we'd like to approve the grant for the 4 hangars out of the Sebastian Municipal Airport.
Okay, awesome. Council, what's your pleasure on, actually, do we want to read the resolution, or do we not need to do that? Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a resolution of the City of Sebastian, Indian River County, Florida, authorizing the city manager to execute a public transportation grant agreement, open paren PTGA, close paren, with the Florida Department of Transportation, open paren FDOT, close paren, for funding the cost of project number FM 445949-1-94-01 for the design and building of 4 square hangars at the Sebastian Municipal Airport, providing for conflict, providing for severability, providing for scrivener's errors, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, great. Thank you. Council, what's your pleasure on R-2230?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of resolution number R-22-30.
All right, thank you, sir.
I'd like to second that, Mr. Mayor.
All right, anyone from the public wish to speak on this amazing agenda item where we're now building 4 additional square hangars with a great majority of the funding from grants where we'll only have, is it a 5% or a 10% match?
So it's a 5% from us, 5% from the state. The remainder comes from
That's awesome.
FAA.
Thank you very much. Anyone from the public?
Love it.
Seeing none, comments or questions of staff from council? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Mayor Hill?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
And Councilmember McPartlin?
Yes.
All right, thank you for that. Item 14B, approve the Stone Crop Drainage Improvement Phase 2 contract. Mr. Carlisle.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, this is a great project to finally get underway. I know it's been on the books for some time, And this is one of the main outfalls for the central part of the Highlands out towards the river. This project has been designed, and I can't thank Lisa Frazier and Karen Miller who brought this to closure and gotten this funded through Department of Emergency Management. It's all intents and purposes, a $1.5 million project. Our cost, our local match is $354,000. And this is phase two. This gets us the money. So we'd like you to approve the Stone Crop Drainage Improvement Phase 2 contract with the Florida Department of Emergency Management for the Stone Crop replacement lining.
Council? Pleasure?
I move approval.
I'll need a second. So wait.
I'll second. Okay.
Thank you.
But I also like to have them, do we have that map of that stone crop to put up? I just want everyone to understand, how crucial that is. This last rain a week or so ago, Laconia and all down through there just flooded, and that's because the little drain pipe, the metal drain pipe that we have under the road there that filters all that water from the east side of Sebastian back onto the west side to where it drains off into the into the South Fork of the river, that was clogged up. With this new box culvert that would go in there, this would actually allow the flow, and actually we wouldn't have the flooding that we've had before from that. So, Karen, you want to?
Yeah. Yep.
Go ahead.
So that box area shows the whole extent of the project. So it goes from Stonecrop Street all the way to Laconia Street between Majestic and Montrose. So it's going to help that whole area. And at Laconia Street, it's going to have a conspan bridge, like what he was talking about. It's going to open up that drainage flow so you won't have any future blockages and you won't have any flooding in that area.
And do we have information about how far that drains from east of that location? What part of the city east of Laconia?
Oh, how far it will help improve
right.
flooding issues? I don't have a map showing the extent of that, but I can in the future get you a drainage basin map that shows everything in that area that will come through to that one section.
Right. I just want everyone out there to be aware that when we're doing this project, this is crucial to us to relieve any flooding throughout our city. And that's some of the things that we're doing, not just in that spot, but we're doing it on Schumann and some other places as well. So this is going to benefit all of our residents, obviously, from flooding.
Yeah, on this page, I zoomed in just to show the area the construction will happen. It will affect and impact a much larger area than this street.
Yeah, and this is just another card that's going on the pile of all the things that have been done over the years to improve our drainage. It was astounding. We did have this one hiccup in the drain system when the hurricane went through. However, I got photos posted from 10 a.m. And then a 3 p.m. photo, and what a difference the drain system made because it worked properly. You could have a street that was flooded up to the mailbox that was basically drained completely out by the time the day was over, and that's how it's supposed to work. So kudos to staff and your continued efforts to make sure that our drainage system is working as it should.
I was going to say, Mr. Mayor, I know I saw Vice Mayor out there driving around as well, and I will say that the flooding that was there early in the morning on Laconia, 2.5 hours later, it was gone. And by the next morning, driving around the entire city, there was not a single flooded street in our city at that point. I went to every single neighborhood that has flooded streets and went through them all, and there was not a single one. There was still some water in some swales, but that is what they're intended to do, is to hold water and distribute the excess. So great job to our employees and the work they have done. I know they were out there, and I was talking to Ken and some of the other people. They worked very hard to get our canals and ditches working properly, and this storm, as much water as came that day before, it showed how well our system's working. And I'm glad to see this is happening because that'll solve that problem from not happening again on the Laconia. So good.
Very good. I'm not sure I went public on this, but anyone from the public wish to opine on this item? All right, seeing none. Anything further from council? All right, roll call, please.
Mayor Hill?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Councilmember Dodd?
Yes.
Councilmember McPartland?
Yes.
And Councilmember Nunn.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Item 14C, approve the recommended increase in wages to exempt personnel based on the wage and compensation study.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move that we table this item until the completion of the union negotiations.
I would second that.
All right, anything further from council on that?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about this.
Well, I would suggest that we're not going to have, if we're going to table this, you'll talk about it at the next, whenever this is brought off the table. And I think that's the,
Okay.
and I believe that's the appropriate time to have a
Okay.
discussion on that. Discussion on the motion, I will have. Fair.
I'm asking to table this primarily because I feel that we're talking about, and I don't want to impact the exempt employees badly, and I'm not trying to say that they're not going to get salary increases, except that we haven't completed our negotiation with the union, and the parameters that are in this can be viewed, I think, inappropriately when we talk about that negotiation with the union. And our traditional, as long as I've been on council, and I believe probably as long as you've been on council, Mayor, the traditional process is that the union negotiation takes place.
We'll just talk, let's just keep it to just discussion on whether or not we want to.
Okay, this is about tabling it.
Okay.
Okay, it's about
Yes, sir.
tabling it.
Okay.
But the traditional process has been that we complete union negotiation, and then the exempt employees receive the same increased structure as the union receives. So that's why I would like to table it.
Okay. Any further discussion on the tabling of this item? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Move us to item 14D, approve the application process of an 319H grant. Mr. Carlisle.
Yeah, Mayor, members of council, a while back we hired Schulke to do a cost estimate of what it would cost to convert the remaining businesses and residents in the CRA from their septic to sewer. He did a cost breakdown for the businesses that are not hooked up as well. I would recommend doing those because they have to hook up. But what we need direction from council on is, does council want us to go out and actively seek this 319 grant? So the 319 grant will pay for the connections and that. It won't pay for all of the infrastructure. Ms. Frazier corrected me on that this afternoon. But it will cover a lot of the cost. But they also they don't really require a match, but they like to see a 40% match to make it viable. The next available time for them to review our application is March, April. So we need to have something to them by January, February at the latest. But what we have to also do is get 95% of the property owners down there to agree to the hookup, or they won't even consider our grant, because they're not going to give us a bunch of money if people aren't going to hook up. And so what we're going to try to do is develop, and I talked to Councilmember Dodd about it, we're going to try to develop what it would cost them. We have cost what it would cost them to do it on their own. We provided you with those charts today. What we don't have is what it's going to cost each individual property owner if we get the grant, and then there's a second grant that the county will need to apply for the lift station. So there's a lot of moving parts. But we need direction from council if you want us to move forward and try to see if we can do something with this. And, we've tried grants from ourselves and from the Indian River Lagoon Council, and we just can't get anybody to take that step and get it done. Except for tonight we had one, and we're glad to have that happen. But to make a difference on that river, we need to get those septic tanks off the river. And, as has been stated many times, it's one of that and the west side of the Highlands are two of the hot spots in the county for nitrogen and phosphorus entering our waterways. And I think we need to take steps to try to mitigate that as best we can.
Okay. Councilmember Dodd, I know you've been sort of at the tip of the spear on this, and so we'll go ahead and have some, or if you want to go ahead and make a motion.
No, I don't want, I want, because I want to, before a motion goes, I just want to make sure everybody understands what we're talking about doing. I think, when we first talked about this, I brought it to the council, and we talked about trying to move forward in the CRA because of the location of the septic tanks to the river. I mean, there's drain fields down there that are, 50 yards or less to the river, some closer than that even. And some of those are very old drain fields. 1980s, 1990s. They probably failed and no one's inspective enough to know it. The issue, however, comes about with the 319 grant. They require 95% acceptance rate by the owners of the property, whether they be a commercial owner or a residential owner. And the state does have a statute that requires that once the collective system is available, once the infrastructure is available, within 1 year you have to hook up. So they require that. It's just that nobody wants to try to enforce that because it's not a politically popular thing to do. It's very difficult to do in that process. So what we have here is a carrot. We can get the 319 grant. I was on a conference call with Florida League of Cities on Monday, and there's some new. There are new grants available and new loan money available. No one wants to talk about it, but it's federal government infrastructure money. And since it's not popular to talk about federal government infrastructure money, nobody mentions it, but the federal government infrastructure program is putting $500 million a year for the next 5 years into a 1% loan program in Florida for municipal and county-owned utilities to create infrastructure that they need to do this kind of stuff. We can't get that money to pay for the lift stations and so forth that 319 won't pay for, but the county utility could get that money. Of course, they're going to want us to help pay for it or even pay for it, whatever has to take place, but we can work with them on that. And I know the city manager and the director of growth management have a meeting with county utility director this week, or Monday, to talk about not just this, but to begin conversations about the Highlands and what can be done there, because quite frankly, this next 5-year window is a time to strike at that. If they have to build a new treatment plant, they might get the federal government to pay for that treatment plant, okay? There is also some additional grant money out there that came through other federal resources that actually will pay for the infrastructure to go in. But what this boils down to is that for us to be able to go out and ask people to do this, we need to be able to say to them, here's what the cost is going to be, which I think the city manager gave you guys all a copy of this massive spreadsheet that Schulte did. You know, you can tell he's an engineer. He builds these spreadsheets like this. And he actually has, by property location, a breakdown of what the cost would be if they paid for it themselves to do it. So our charge, and what the city manager will have to do, is be able to come up with a breakdown of how much of that dollar amount can we cover through these various grants. So when we go to these property owners and we say, we want you to do this, we can say to property owner A, it's going to cost you $10,013 if you do it yourself, but it's going to cost you $1,010 if you say yes to our program. And oh, by the way, we'll finance your $1,010 over 10 years. We'll do some type of a municipal financing. We'll set up some type of a mechanism for them to pay it on their tax bill, which we can do, and we'll finance it over 10 years. So we'll take care of making sure you don't have to write a check out of pocket. So we have to know all that. The trick to this is, though, we have to have the stick on the other side. Here's the carrot. We'll do this for a lot less money and we'll finance it. But oh, by the way, if you say no, 1 year from today, you have to hook up. And if you don't hook up 1 year from today, our code enforcement guy is going to pay a visit to you and is going to write you up for being in violation of the code. Because we have a code right now in the city that mandates hookup. So it's an existing code that they'd be in violation of. It's going to put you in violation of the code. It's going to cost you $150 or $200 a day code violation fee until you hook up, plus the cost of hookup. We have to be willing as a body, though, to enforce that stick, or the carrot doesn't matter, because we'll never get 95%. Right. We'll never get 95% if we're not willing to do that. In my contention, and I think I said this last time we talked about this, if we can't make this happen for those 140-some septic tanks in the CRA that are right on the river, we don't even need to be talking about the Highlands, because we'll never make it happen in the Highlands. Without every resident in the Highlands having to pay a ton of money, we'll never make it happen there. So I think this is an important first step in our transition from septic to collective sewer in the city. We just have to decide whether saying yes to this means that we're willing to enforce the stick when we do this. So I think that's I don't know, did I misrepresent it?
No,
Okay.
on point.
All right, very good. Anyone else from council have any comments on that statement?
Well,
Go ahead, Mr. McFarland.
I agree with Mr. Dodd wholeheartedly, and for no better phrase, it's either poop or get off the pot. And I think we have to do this, we have to enforce it. And I think Sebastian has been a leader on environmental issues along the river, and if we took these steps, I think it might lead to other municipalities who live along the lagoon, and it will benefit it. So I'm in agreement with Mr. Dodd.
All right, thank you. I would agree with that. And for me, it's pretty simple. I mean, you know, we all live here, and I've heard probably every one of us five tout the Indian River Lagoon as, the part of a major part of the reason we all live here and the beauty of the lagoon. And, these septic tanks are tragically directly on the lagoon in some cases. 50 yards is a long way away for some of these. Some of these are much, much closer. I would say most likely within 10 or 15 feet. I think that this, to me, is a no-brainer. I never want to mandate to anyone that they have to do something, but the fact of the matter is that the citizens have paid a lot of money to install a sewer system through the CRA. And this, because the citizens believe, and through us, and Indian River County and their representation, because we believe that it's paramount to the health of the lagoon and the future health of the lagoon to do every single thing we can to minimize the nutrient outputs. The city has done so much over the years with nutrient scrubbing baffle boxes, with water retention and all of the new projects, with our requirement to hook up to sewer that's in our laws. We are a clear example of what a municipality should be doing in order to protect Mother Nature. I think that it goes by the wayside when it gets lost, I suppose, in the mosh sometimes when you talk about development and growth and things like that. But when you do development and growth the right way, and you've got a clear example of doing it the right way, which we have set, and by we I mean the city of Sebastian. This goes before I was ever on council, and it's continued all through my tenure. And so I think that this is just a clear example of us just saying, all right, here's the deal. You have to do this. We'll pretty much pay for it, but you're going to have to, and here's the big but, they're going to have a bill every single month after that. And so that's where you're going to get those who are going to say, if I don't have to pay a sewer bill, why would I want to go ahead and do that? So we have to get rid of the mindset that it's okay to dump crap in the ground right next to the Indian River Lagoon to placate a few people. So I'm fully in favor of this, and I appreciate, Mr. Dodd, your hard work in helping to bring this forward.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I would like to agree with Mr. Dodd, or Councilmember Dodd as well. Some of our most vulnerable properties and septic tanks are sitting right next to the river. All those people live on the river because they love the river. If you're not willing to step up and do what needs to be done to stop putting your septic in the ground and get it to a sewer system, do you really care about the river? The same with us sitting up here. If we're not willing to put our money where our mouth is and say, listen, we're gonna mandate this because it has to happen. We've spent a ton of money getting sewer down there. I'm willing to stand behind. We're gonna have to mandate it. I would love to see some of our environmental groups that stand up for Sebastian, see what they could do to help out with this. Clean Water Coalition, those other groups that talk about the river, see what they could do to work with the city to try to help provide some assistance to help get these septic tanks. If the goal is a cleaner river, this is the first step, because I agree, if we can't get the houses on the river, the people that live there, for the beauty of that river, to do what's right, we'll never, ever get the Highlands on sewer. So, time to step up, I agree.
And
Hooper, get off the pot.
Many businesses also.
Yeah, no, thank you for that, Chris. You mentioned something that I was going to mention. Perhaps we can get the environmentalists on board with us to help push our agenda down there on the river to get these septic tanks out off the river there. because our lagoon is precious, and we need to do everything that we can to protect it. And if people don't understand that, I'm sorry for them. So basically, what I'm going to say is I'm all for it. Thank you, Mr. Dodd.
I'll take a motion on item 14D.
Okay, I want to ask the city manager a question before I make a motion. I'm going to make one. Would you like to have me include some finances in this so you can, I know your staff is just buried. Would you like me to include some finances in this motion to allow you to hire someone to assist you in putting together this paperwork?
I'm going to need, if I may, Mayor.
Of course,
I
go
would
ahead.
need Schulke's help on some of this to get their costs in and down, and it's probably at least 10,000, I would think, would.
Okay.
To get those, to get the costs, doing it, not doing it, what their connection costs would be. Understand that, you know, we're going to try to negotiate with the county as well. But, yes, if you would, I would
Okay.
appreciate that.
All right, then I move that we approve the implementation of the septic to sewer program for the septic systems within the CRA, and we authorize the city manager to spend up to $25,000 in support services to prepare the paperwork required to do that.
Second. Oh, I've got a second from Mr. Nunn. There's a slight delay from the West Coast. Sorry about that, Mr. McFarland. Does anyone from the public wish to speak on this issue? Anyone on Zoom? Yes, now's the time.
My name is Rufus Standifer. I don't live in Sebastian city limits, but I have property that's very actually close to the annexation on 73rd Street and 66. I'm also a filmmaker, and I've been coming to the area for many years. And over the last 6 months or so, I've been doing a lot of research because I'm very interested in the ecology. I started out very interested in the river and the lagoon. It's personal for me. My brother and I used to come down here and fish, my younger brother, and he's passed away. So I have a lot of affection for this region, even though I'm not a native here. And over the last 6 months, I've been talking to everybody that I can talk to about the lagoon, and the more I've talked to people, the more I've begun to understand how complex and how intricate the issue of our water quality is. And of course, when the manatees started to die off, that's national news. What is it, the state animal of Florida, right? So, but in talking to several scientists here, the thing that is the most alarming in the tributaries, in our watershed, is the disappearance of all the small critters that we can't see. You know, we know about the seagrass, but if you've ever taken a net and dragged it through a couple of feet of seagrass and brought it up, you'll see the shrimp, the crabs, the oysters. There are no more oysters in the lagoon. Any old timer will tell you. And I was on the Sebastian River this morning, and it's still very beautiful. It's pristine to look at. But there are very few fish in there. There's snooker in there, but I was talking to a fisheries biologist yesterday. He said, well, the snook, until it's 6 inches long, can live with no oxygen in the water. It's very adapted. It's a very tough fish. But many of the other fish and the small things are gone. So when you guys talk about rolling up our sleeves and doing something, the septic is obviously a big issue. I just want to say that if there's anything I can provide with my expertise in filming or getting the word out to people so that we can understand, because for a lot of us, what we can't see, we're not thinking about. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from the public wish to speak on this? All right, thank you. I'll close public input on that. Anything further from council? Good work on this one, council. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Dodd? Yes. Councilmember McPartland?
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn?
Yes.
Mayor Hill?
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Jones?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Item 15, attorney matters. Mr. Anand.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, just two things. Number one, tomorrow we have the negotiations with the IUPA and the police department, if anyone wants to attend, from 9 to 12. And the other issue I want to bring to your attention is PERC finally got an order out to the elections department, and Cindy and I were providing dates to them. So technically, right now, we gave them November 1st, 2nd, or 3rd for a potential election for general employees to vote in or vote out IUPA. So that's coming up, and once that's done, then I guess they're on board. That's all I wanted to report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Carlisle?
Yes, Mayor, I just wanted to bring this exciting news up that October 19th from 11:30 to 1:30 is the ribbon cutting for the new Public Works compound, 505 Airport Drive West. We're going to have hot dogs while they last. We invite people to come out. We're going to try to give some tours of the building. I think it's a great thing for the city to get it accomplished, and I appreciate council support in getting that done. The crews are all excited about it. They now have space to work, and it's going to be some changes and things will need to be done as they get in there and they figure out the movement of the building. But it's a great building, and it's a great asset to the city, and it's really going to improve some of our production. And the last thing, I just want to reiterate the storm debris pickup will be starting any day. Karen's organizing that, but this is not a time for people to go start trimming trees. Green vegetation out of the road at this time will surely be fresh vegetation. So we're picking up storm-related vegetation only. So don't start trimming all your trees and piling it out there. Don't start taking all your couches and stuff out of your sheds, as Vice Mayor Jones said. We're not going to be collecting that. That's not storm debris. It's not reimbursable. So we're only going to be picking up reimbursable debris. We're going to do one pass. So just make sure you've had plenty of time to get your storm debris out. So we're going to do one pass. Waste Management is going to continue on their same routes. They're going to be doing the garbage cans and buckets. They're going to leave the loose vegetation. So if Waste Management comes by and they left your loose vegetation, it's because the storm debris contractor is going to pick up all the loose stuff. And they will pick up the drums as they get to them, but I've asked Waste Management to continue with their normal routes collecting at least the containerized debris. And if there's any other questions from council?
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Mayor, it's been an honor serving with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that very much. Vice Mayor Jones.
Nothing, sir.
Councilmember McParland.
Yeah, I guess to piggyback off, they got the debris cleanup. I don't want to hear any complaints about, they missed this or whatever. I've been over here for a week, and the devastation here on the West Coast, it's not given any justice in the news. And thank God we have a generous state and a very generous country. And anybody who plans on donating for the victims over here on the West Coast, make sure they donate to a reputable, charitable organization, because after any kind of major catastrophe, the fraud people are all out, and so you got to keep your eye out for them. So, but again, a lot of devastation over here, and I'm glad to come over here and help them, because I know if it happened over on our side, we'd have people on the West Coast coming over to help us too. So that's it.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Nunn.
Yes, I wanted to say thank you to the city manager for helping get that debris contract and the engineer for y'all to get that taken care of. Thank you, Karen. It's really appreciated. I know a lot of people have been talking about, today people were talking about, why did they take my can but not my pile? And it makes sense now knowing, because the debris contractor will be picking that up. So thank you. I apologize for my frustration earlier. It's understandable that we would get frustrated sometimes, and I don't feel any less different than I felt earlier. Just, thank you. We do have groups that come and do the right thing and present their information, and people that stand up and say, what they're thinking with directness and honesty, and we appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I thought it looked good. So, just need some blood pressure medicine, and you'll be just fine, sir. Mr. Dodd.
Okay, we do not have another meeting in October. Turn my mic on, sorry. Do not have another meeting in October because of early voting. And have we actually moved the November meeting? The 7th, we can't do the November meeting can we, because of the canvassing board may not have finished their work by then?
So I thought we moved it to the 21st, did we?
Did we?
Yes.
Yes?
We moved it to the
Okay.
21st, but
I'm old, I couldn't remember that.
no, so
You know, okay,
I'll,
yeah.
I'll get the results on the 18th.
My wife told me today I was the oldest one up here, so I can't.
Oh, well.
Just figured that out?
Okay, she just figured that out, yeah. Okay, before I say my last item, affordable housing, attainable housing, whatever you want to call it, is going to be a very hot topic in Tallahassee starting in March. The Florida League of Cities is taking a pretty aggressive stance on trying to work through that process with the legislators and trying to get them to come up with more funding. So, and I have an opportunity to get stuff to the Florida League of Cities. So if anybody in Sebastian has any good ideas on affordable or attainable housing, and I mean good ideas because I mean, this is such a complex issue, it's very difficult to deal with. Send it to me at my city website, or the city email, c.at.cityofsebastian.org. And if it's something that I think that the Florida League of Cities might be able to push or work through the legislative session with, then I'll be more than happy to do that, because it is a major issue everywhere right now in the whole state. It's not just here; it's everywhere in the whole state. It's an issue. Now, one last thing. This is Mayor Hill's last meeting. He's not coming back for our first November meeting. He's already told me he's done. So I just want to make sure that we recognize that he's been on this council for 20 years, and he's been the mayor several times, and he's contributed quite a bit to the city. So I want to thank him for that. And I know we don't allow this in the council meetings, but I'd like to give him a round of applause.
Thank you.
It's illegal.
I'm just kidding.
I had to bend the rules
Thank
to do
you all
that.
so much.
Okay.
I
Thank you.
appreciate
I'm
that.
finished, sir.
Will you get order, please? Mr. Mayor.
You're all,
Mr. Mayor.
everyone out. You're all thrown out of here. Well, thank you. I appreciate that very much. And this is my last meeting, and it's amazing. You know, I was like, I'm not going to belabor this. I'm not going to make this some long speech or anything about what I've done over the last 2 decades, because I've done nothing. I have been a part of a lot of things that have been done. The councils have done amazing work over the last 2 decades, and staff has done an amazing work over the last 2 decades. And I am lucky that the citizens of Sebastian have allowed me to be in this chair or that chair, or hell, I've been in every one of the chairs up here several times, and I appreciate that very much. You know, it's funny, I was thinking the other day about when 9/11 happened. I was actually going to Tallahassee working as a city council member for Sebastian, and gosh, can you imagine how long ago that was? It's a lifetime. And I remember being in the old annex building when we had our meetings, and there are just some people that I want to recognize real quickly as people that I think are the real ones that have done things. We act as a council, we get lots of praise, we get a lot of flowers up here, but the real people that do the work are the men and women who work for the city, who are the ones that are out there every single day. And so I just want to give them some love. You know, I've worked with 4 attorneys, Richard Stringer, God rest his soul, Bob Ginsburg, Jim Stokes, and now Manny, and all of them just outstanding individuals who care deeply about what they do for this community. Conversations with Bob Ginsburg after council meetings sometimes discussing law was really difficult with him. He changed my life. He knows so many things, and he knows how to talk to people, and he knew exactly, you know, what I wanted to hear, but he would never say it. And so you know, I had many discussions with him, and he changed my life with those discussions and taught me how to be a better person and how to be better at running meetings or doing those types of things. 4 city council members, 4 county commissioners, 4 city managers, Terrence Moore, Al Minner, Joe Griffin, and I think by far the best, Paul Carlisle. You know, all very professional individuals, all did a great job, all worked very hard for this city, all cared deeply about this city. And I have full faith in the city manager of this community that he cares deeply about this, has the knowledge and experience to take this city for many years going forward. And then my favorite people in the whole world, my clerks. I love the clerks in this community. I've worked with Sally and Jeanette. Sally I used to call Aunt Sally, and Jeanette is, well, don't take this wrong, but considered my work wife. And my actual wife gave her that title
as my work wife, but through being a pen snob or a pen diva, I think you've called me to every time I've called you, and your constant reminders to me to actually show up to meetings on time and do what I'm supposed to do has been priceless, and I thank you so much for that. I can't name all the city council members because that wouldn't be fair, because I'll miss some, but there's a couple that have meant so much to me, and my mentor was Walter Barnes. Probably not very many people in here remember Walter Barnes, but he got elected at the same election I did in 2020. I'm sorry, in 2000. We got elected together, and he served 4 years straight as the mayor. And I watched him work, and I learned so much from his grace and elegance and how he handled meetings and how he dealt with things. And so, again, life-changing, and you know, the wonderful people that I've had the opportunity to meet have been great. And I'm so going long, and I'm sorry about this. And then, you know, Ed Dodd, I just want you to know that you are an example of grace and elegance as well, and I appreciate what you've brought to this council. And our relationship didn't start off the best when I called for your removal from the Planning and Zoning Committee, but I'm glad. Yeah, we got through it, but it's been a pleasure working with you and seeing how you deal with things. And now with the current council, you guys are great, and it's easy for me to walk away from this knowing that the future is in great hands. And I'm very proud to say that you guys are all my friends, and I know you're going to do good work. And now I will, for the very last time, say there being no further business, we are adjourned.